Yeah. So in real estate, cold calling, I think of it a lot like it's like a shotgun approach in marketing, where I feel like direct mail and things that you can get very targeted. Cold calling is more of, let's pull a list of people that have a potential likelihood of sale. That could be absentee out-of-state owner, a vacant house. That could be pre-foreclosure. The reality is every data company sucks. There's no really good data set. Like when you really clean up data, even if it's a tax delinquent list, 80% of the data is not accurate most of the time, even if you pull it from the county. I mean, we just talked about our government having student loan information on an Excel sheet. The county levels usually don't operate much better than that. So it's messy, but it's a game of getting contacts that you can call compliantly onto a list that you can make dials to and create opportunity from. And we call them opt-in leads. So it's, hey, I'm thinking about selling for one of the 4 pillars, which is, and I always butcher this, price, motivation, timeline, and there's one more I always forget when I talk about this live. But we have four pillars. They have to hit one of them, and within a 3 to 6 month window. That's what an opt-in lead. But then it takes, like every marketing channel, 3 to 6 months on average to really nurture someone and turn them into an opportunity and eventually a sale. So cold calling absolutely works amongst most marketing channels. It's my favorite because for you guys starting out, you can get the reps that you need to get good. You can't, that's the risk of starting to spend 10 grand a month on pay-per-click if you're running a real estate company. Even if you're trying to source not just single family, whatever you're going after, is you haven't had enough reps yet. So you're going to blame it on the leads when it's not the lead flow issue, and a pay-per-click lead can be $400. So it's a great way to get reps. It's high volume of leads. You get a lot of at-bats, and it's good ROI. You're going to get a 3, 4, 5x ROI if you're following up with your leads.
So when you're cold calling, you guys are like, if you're cold calling for a client, if they hit one of those 4 pillars, then you'll pass that lead along to the client.
Yeah. So if you hire us, it's completely white glove. So we pull the data, we do everything. And if one of our agents gets someone on the phone, a prospect, and they say, hey, I want 1.5 million and Zillow has it at $1 million, that we're not going to send that to you. Yeah. But if they say, hey, I want 1.05 million and I need to sell next month because I'm moving across the country, we will give that to you.
Cool. Do you guys do a pay-per lead model, or is it just
you pay us monthly on a per agent basis, which there's a lead flow expectation with that, and you get a bunch of other stuff with that, but lead flow expectation with the data and everything included. Yeah.
One thing that you said that is so important too, I think, with cold calling, because when I first started, I didn't know what to do, and so I was just cold calling. I was pulling lists, skip tracing them, but it was so helpful just to get cussed out and told no, and the phone hung up on me for when I started to go walk houses and having those awkward conversations where somebody was expecting $600,000 for a house and my offer was at $375,000. Like, just having those conversations beforehand on the phones where people were angry and hanging up and cussing me out, like, was so helpful in my growth as a salesperson.
Just an entrepreneur. I think I look back to the first podcast I ever did that was big, which was a Bigger Pockets live stream at Tartle's house. And I was like, my nervous system shut down. I was like ice cold. I was like shaking. And now I love it. Yeah. And I think it's the same for sales and cold calling. Yeah.
Well, we interviewed a door-to-door sales guy. He was Mormon. He was like, Mormons are the best salespeople because for 2 years they go and knock on doors and they get shut down time and time again and yelled at.
And trying to sell them religion.
Exactly.
They're not selling a product or service. They're like, hey, I'm going to convert your whole family to a new religion. That's a different type of sale.
That's a hard sell. How do you cold call legally? And you mentioned the word compliant. Yeah. Like what are the laws around cold calling? How do you do it legally?
They're always changing. Okay. So I always say do your due diligence on them first if you're watching this. Like, they literally, it's very case law based. So it's by jurisdiction, by court, by how the judge is feeling, what's happening day to day. There's certain dialers that you can use and not use. There's, generally speaking, you want to adhere to the do not call list. And especially when you call someone and they say, hey, don't call me again. That's one of the biggest pieces. Like if you call someone and they say, never call me again, I want to be taken off your list, don't market to me. That's the main way people get in trouble is they forget and they call that person 3 more times. And so generally speaking, it's like any type of marketing, any business, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Yeah. And the wrong way to do it is you don't pay attention to any of the rules and you call someone 5 times that asks you to be taken off your list. And same with mail. Someone calls and says, don't mail me again. You guys probably shouldn't mail them again. Same for email, same for everything. So yeah.
Do you have the stats on like how many dials does it take to get somebody live? How many people do you have to talk to before you get a lead? What does that? What are your stats?
So it's case market dependent, and I like to, I don't know why I phrase it this way, but it's kind of like it works kind of in a blue state red state kind of way, because that for some reason the coastal cities blue, higher price points, and like a Seattle, a San Diego, a San Francisco, and LA, a Boston, Miami. Technically, you're going to end up about 50 to 70 leads per deal in a market like that. You're going to spend probably about $2,500, $3,500 per deal. That's if you're good at sales.
That's great.
Right. So it depends on your sales ability, but if you're good at sales, that's typically what you'll see is between a 50 and a 70 leads per contract in a blue state.
Which is similar to what I've heard for like direct mail. You tell me if you know differently, but I've heard that for direct mail, every 50-ish calls you get in, like inbound calls, then you might get a lead.
It's actually the same just across everything. If every 50 to 70 conversations you have in any marketing channel with someone that is somewhat interested, will probably convert. A crazy stat for you guys. We generated over 8,000 leads for just our own company, 110,000 leads in the past couple of years for clients. And we brought in a data scientist last year at the end of 2023 to look at our pipeline from 2017 to 2023. How many of those houses have sold? Most of those notes were not interested, maybe thinking about it. 63% of people that came into our pipeline in 2017, 2018 to 2020, end of 2023 had sold either on market or off market, which blew my mind. And maybe that was a small sample size relative to the whole. I mean, there's millions of homes to sell every year. So smaller sample size. It's hopefully directional data. I'm not sure. I mean, it could be wrong, but that's what we found internally, which means that if you're talking to a lead from any marketing channel, that's what I tell everyone. You have to know there's a 60% chance of them in the next 3 to 5 years transacting with someone on market or off market. And if you can play on that timeline, that's how you get really, really, really wealthy, is you follow up aggressively for 3 to 5 years. And that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they follow up with a lead for 3 weeks, like, oh, they're not interested in selling. Yeah. But they are. It just takes a while. And we get paid so well on each transaction that why wouldn't you stick it out?